I would say that every great ruin begins with a hairline fracture. Mine began with a dream I spoke of out loud, and that he listened to with the silence of someone who collects secrets. I just didn't know that his silence wasn't empty. It was the space he was saving for someone else, and the proof of that would arrive in the mail, sealed in an expensive envelope, carrying the scent of betrayal with hints of lavender and essential oils. Everything seemed so solid. Our relationship had the appearance of a well-built house with foundations that everyone admired. We had been living together for 6 years in an apartment we painted white to make it look bigger, a mirror of what we did with our own story. We covered the small, dark parts with a coat of normality. He was charming, a man whose smile seemed like an invitation to a secure future. I, on the other hand, was the partner who believed that love was measured in sacrifice. I was the one who applauded his dreams while keeping mine in a small velvet box in the back of my soul. If stories like this resonate with you, and you believe in the power of self-worth, please like this video and subscribe so you don't miss how this journey unfolds. In that box, my biggest dream had a name and an address: the Sanctuary Spa. I first saw it in a magazine on a rainy afternoon, while waiting for him at a coffee shop. The picture showed an infinity pool overlooking the mountains, and the caption promised a journey of personal rediscovery. That phrase stuck with me. It wasn't about the luxury. It was about the promise of reconnecting with myself. A reunion I felt I had postponed for far too long. I showed him the magazine that night. His eyes skimmed the page without really seeing it. "Nice," he said, with the same tone he used for a random painting on a restaurant wall. "But, love, this costs a fortune. One day, maybe, when things are easier." His phrase, "one day," became a horizon that never got any closer. I mentioned the spa other times, on my birthday, on our anniversary. The answers were always variations of the same theme. "Not now. We have other priorities. You don't need those fancy things." I realized today that the priorities were always his. The new watch he needed for meetings, the upgrade on his car to project more confidence. I agreed, because I believed the us was more important than the me. Today I know, with the painful clarity of hindsight, that in a healthy relationship, the me isn't erased for the us to exist. It gets stronger. But I didn't speak that language yet. I was only fluent in the language of compliance, of the sweet self-deception that allowed me to believe his love was real and that my turn to dream would eventually come. The signs began to appear, like small leaks in a wall you pretend not to see. The first was his phone. A device that used to lie abandoned on the couch suddenly started living in his pocket, always screen down. One night, the phone lit up the dark bedroom, and I saw a woman's name on the screen. When I asked who it was, he got irritated. "It's from work. You don't know her." What's with the distrust? He used my question to accuse me, a manipulation tactic that, at the time, I interpreted as work stress. Then came the issue of money. Our finances were joined, but he, who had always been transparent, started being vague. Credit card statements that used to be left on the table disappeared. When I questioned a large expense at a restaurant I didn't know, he just shrugged. It was a lunch with an important client. I had to pay. The answer was plausible. The coldness in his eyes was not. It was a calculated distance, as if he were rehearsing those lies in front of a mirror. I remembered the moment I got closest to the truth. It was a Tuesday. I came home early and he wasn't there. I saw his laptop open, which was rare. Curiosity, that intuition that screams in our ear, made me look. His email inbox was open, and there it was, a reservation confirmation. My heart froze, but the name of the place was a country hotel, not the spa, and the reservation was for only one person. In that instant, he walked through the door and saw my face. Before I could speak, he smiled. "Love, I'm glad you saw. I booked a surprise for myself. A weekend to go fishing and clear my head. I've been so tired." I was relieved, and I believed him. Or rather, I chose to believe him. I felt guilty for my suspicion. I hugged him and apologized for my distrust. He kissed my forehead and said everything was fine. Today, the memory of that kiss makes me sick. It was the kiss of condescension, the kiss of someone admiring their own ability to deceive. I convinced myself to trust, to silence the insistent voice inside me that whispered, "Something is wrong." I didn't know that voice wasn't paranoia. It was a guardian angel trying to warn me that the house I was protecting was already in ruins, and that the final earthquake was only a few days away. The story is about to take a turn you won't see coming. If you want to support those who turn pain into power, like this video, your support helps us continue to tell these stories of resilience. The truth arrived on an ordinary day. It was a Monday. The sky was gray, threatening rain. I picked up the mail from the front desk, a stack of bills and junk mail. At home, I started sorting through it on the kitchen table. The electric bill, the internet bill, a pizza flyer, and then an envelope that stood out. It was made of thick, textured, elegant cream-colored paper. In the top left corner, in cursive golden letters, was the logo that haunted my dreams, the Sanctuary Spa. My first reaction was confused joy. Had he finally planned a surprise for me? Was this a voucher, a gift of redemption for all the times he'd said no? My hands trembled slightly as I opened the envelope with an almost reverent care. It wasn't a voucher. It was an invoice. The world seemed to shift into slow motion. The sound of the cars outside faded away. My breath caught in my throat. The invoice was in his name at our address. It detailed a Serenity package for couples, the most expensive one. It included a hot stone massage, a Himalayan salt immersion bath, a 24-karat gold facial, and a champagne-paired lunch. The total amount made my stomach churn. It was the equivalent of 3 months of our rent. A chill ran down my spine as my eyes searched for the most important field. The date of the treatment. It was from the previous Tuesday. The same Tuesday he was supposedly in a stressful work meeting. And then, the final blow. Next to the package description, there was a small printed note. A standard service for gifts. Gift treatment for Mrs. Helena Alenkar. Helena. That was not my name. My name is Clara. In that second, the ground fell out from under me. It wasn't just a betrayal. It was the depth of the cruelty. He didn't just have a mistress. He had taken her to my dream. He used our money, the money I helped save, the money he claimed we didn't have for me to have one day of peace, to build a paradise for her. The invoice in my hand was no longer a piece of paper. It was the death certificate of my love, the irrefutable proof of my insignificance to him. The silence in the apartment was deafening. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I just stood there, feeling the weight of that cream-colored paper that had just demolished my life. I sat on the couch, the invoice still in my hand. The initial shock gave way to a hollow pain, a void so vast it felt like it had swallowed all my organs. I looked around our apartment, at the picture frames with our fake smiles, at the couch where we planned a future that only existed in my head. For a full hour, I allowed the pain to visit me. I let it run through every cell in my body, mourning the woman I used to be, the foolish girl in love who believed in empty promises. I cried, but it wasn't the cry of despair. It was a cry of farewell, a silent goodbye to the life I thought I had. Suddenly, in the midst of that grief, something shifted. The image of the invoice of that name, Helena Alenkar, flashed in my mind. The pain began to morph into a cold, focused energy. An idea, born from the deepest humiliation, began to take shape. I wasn't going to confront him. I wasn't going to give him the satisfaction of seeing me destroyed, of calling me crazy, of turning the tables on me. They say revenge is a dish best served cold. But I discovered something more powerful. Dignity is an action executed with a clear mind. I stood up. The fragility was gone. In its place was a woman he didn't know. I took my laptop and with steady hands, I typed her name into the search bar. Helena Alenkar. Her social media was private, but her professional profile was public. A lawyer, senior associate at one of the most prestigious law firms in the city. Her profile picture showed a woman with a flawless smile and an expensive blazer. The picture of competence and success. A woman who, apparently, didn't mind building her happiness on the ruins of another's. With a plan in mind, I headed to the best stationery store in the neighborhood. The air outside seemed sharper, the colors more vivid. It was as if the pain had torn a veil from my eyes. At the store, I didn't choose just any envelope. I chose the most corporate one. A large white envelope with the kind of seriousness a law firm would respect. Then, I looked for a card. I found one, made of thick, elegant paper, with a single embossed word on the front. Regards. Perfect. The irony was delicious. Back home, I sat at the table that was once the center of our life. I took the original invoice from the spa. I carefully folded it and placed it inside the card. Then, with my best handwriting, the handwriting he once praised as full of personality, I wrote the message. There were no insults, no pleas, just the truth, sharp as a scalpel. I wrote, Helena, I hope the hot stone massage was relaxing. I hope the champagne was just right. I just wanted you to know that this moment of luxury was paid for with the money from the family you are helping to destroy. It was a pleasure to provide you with your day as a queen. Sincerely, Clara, the wife. I folded the card, put it in the envelope with the invoice and sealed it. Her name and the address of the downtown law firm were written in clear, unambiguous block letters. The next morning, I didn't wake him up as I always did. I put on my best clothes, wore my most expensive perfume, the one he said was too strong. Before leaving, I stopped at the bedroom door. He was sleeping soundly, the sleep of the just, or perhaps of those who simply have no conscience. I looked at him one last time, not with hatred, but with a clinical distance, like a scientist observing a specimen. That man in the bed was a stranger, and I was, finally, free of him. I didn't send the letter through the regular mail. I wanted to be sure it arrived. I hired a courier service with express delivery and proof of receipt. I paid in cash. This is to be delivered by hand to the reception desk, I instructed the young man. It's an important document. He nodded and left, carrying the time bomb I had so carefully assembled. As the hours passed, a calm settled over me. I went to my job, performed my tasks with an efficiency that surprised even me. Around 3 in the afternoon, my phone buzzed. It was him. I declined the call. He called again, and again, and again. 23 missed calls in 10 minutes. Then the messages started pouring in, a torrent of panic and fury. What did you do? Are you crazy? Helena called me crying. She was humiliated in front of everyone. We need to talk, Clara. I read the messages, the image of that powerful lawyer receiving an envelope at her mahogany desk in front of colleagues and interns, an envelope she thought was professional, only to find the proof of her indiscretion. That was the real resolution. It wasn't about humiliating her. It was about returning the problem. The mess they had created was no longer mine to clean up. I looked at his name on my phone screen, and with the most liberating touch of my life, I blocked him. The silence that followed was the most beautiful music I had ever heard. A few weeks passed. I used that time to restructure my life, legally and emotionally. And then, on a sunny Saturday, I made a reservation at the Sanctuary Spa. When I arrived, the receptionist smiled. Welcome, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you with us. And it was a pleasure to be there alone, paying for my own treatment with my own money that now had the sole purpose of my own well-being. As I floated in that infinity pool, the same one from the magazine, looking out at the mountains, I understood everything. I learned that money in a relationship isn't just math. It's a journal. The way a couple handles their finances tells the story of their respect, their priorities, and their trust. He used our journal to write a story of lies. I learned to never again apologize for my intuition. That voice inside us, that uneasy feeling in the pit of our stomach, isn't paranoia. It's the sum of thousands of tiny details our subconscious registers. It's our oldest wisdom protecting us. Ignoring it is an act of self-betrayal. I finally understood that the most powerful response to being wronged isn't always a loud confrontation. Sometimes power lies in a quiet, intelligent, and strategic action that doesn't seek revenge, but justice. An action that returns the responsibility to its rightful owner and allows us to move forward with our dignity intact. I didn't need him to take me to my dream. I just needed to get rid of his dead weight so I could walk there myself. And the view from up here was absolutely spectacular. If you enjoyed this story of transformation and believe in new beginnings, please like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss one of our stories. And if you also believe that our peace is our most precious asset, something no one can take from us, comment below. My peace is priceless.